Thank you for staying with us. The population imbalance debate has been reignited. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu is urging couples to have more children, expressing concern about the aging population in southern states, including his own. He said his government is even planning to bring in a law that would allow only people with 2 or more children to contest the local body elections. Now, that call was backed by Chief Minister of another southern state, Tamil Nadu. M.K. Stalin suggested that people in the state should have more children, linking it to the issue of the delimitation exercise. But there are going to be repercussions if this is a policy that is brought in and incentivized. So is this advice really one to fight delimitation, and is that logic valid? We open that up.
యంగ్స్టర్స్ తగ్గిపోయారు. ఇప్పుడు సౌత్ ఇండియాలో కూడా ఏజింగ్ ప్రాబ్లం వస్తూ ఉంది.
The population of India is growing like anything, and to feed the people itself is becoming very difficult.
To maintain the demography, because if the population comes down, demography will also change. Right? It will affect the whole state, culture, everything.
अपने जो वहाँ के सामाजिक हालात हैं, उनके भौगोलिक परिस्थितियाँ हैं, उसके आधार पर अपने राज्य के हित में फैसले करती हैं. इसमें मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई बहुत ज़्यादा बात की बतंगड़ की ज़रूरत है.
Let's open this up. Poonam Mutreja, Executive Director of Population Foundation of India, joins us. T.R. Srinivas, leader of the BJP, and Sujata Ali, leader of the Congress, is with us as well. T.R. Srinivas, let me begin by asking you, do you agree with the pitch that Chandrababu Naidu, one of your allies, has made?
Hi, very good evening, and hi to my fellow panelists. I was going through the statement of Sri Chandrababu Naidu Garu. He said need to have demographic advantage even beyond 2047. Okay, let me tell you like this. Very simple statistics. We have 26% below 14 age of 14, 15 to 64 around 67. Rest are above 65. Now, can you ever imagine China and we have a huge demographic difference. We have a median age of 28 and China has around 38. And to maintain this and to maintain our strategic autonomy, even in industry, even in the progress of this nation, distribution of resources, you need to have a working population which transforms the country on a year by decade. Now we cannot have a population which wholly depends on the scarce resources for welfare fund. For example, China, by 2035, it will have a 400 million people in age of 60 and above, which will drain the resources. So we have to meticulously plan in such a way that all these 3 categories of the age groups are meticulously balanced, so that we have more of resource balancing act, whether it doesn't apply to any religion. He was talking about demographic advantage because of what India rightly currently has.
You know, you speak of the aging population and how that will put more pressure as far as the state coffers go. But isn't that the same case if you also then have freebies that have to be given as far as increased population is concerned? Because if you look at the total fertility rate, there was a disparity between southern states and the North Indian states, but that's not the case anymore. Most of the southern states are very close to the national average now.
See, I'll give you again a perspective on the fertility rate. 1950, we have around 6.2%. And the way in 2022-23, we had 2% now across on an average. Now, the way it goes like this, we'll have 1.29%, or whether it drops below to 2100 in 2100, around 1%. So by this, the replacement, scientifically, if you talk replacement population, and plus the freebies which you're talking about, that has to be every political party, irrespective of ideology, has to come together in terms of national interest and find out a proper method how to distribute this and how to put each category of the population into such a way that the national wealth is created and distributed in different categories.
Sure, freebies or not, the states, specifically southern states, Sujat Ali, also have a lot of liability as far as the central government is concerned. Andhra Pradesh, in case of what Chandrababu Naidu said, has 4.85 lakh crore liabilities. Telangana, a state from where you come, 3.89 lakh crore. And Telangana has also promised a lot of freebies to several sections of society, much like Karnataka. And we have a leader from Karnataka of the Congress today saying that we agree this is what should happen, because delimitation is an exercise that could happen 2 years from now, and if our population does not rise as fast as we want it to, then the southern states will lose out. Do you agree?
सी तमिलनाडु का जो सोच है वो एक अलग टाइप की है और आंध्र प्रदेश के चीफ मिनिस्टर की जो सोच है वो एक अलग टाइप की है। स्टालिन आबादी को बढ़ाने की बात इसलिए करते हैं कि असेंबली की और पार्लियामेंट की सीट बढ़ें। बाबू ये कहते हैं कि उनके पास की जो एवरेज एज है वो बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाएगी और यंगस्टर जो जनरेशन है वो जो है कम हो जाएगी, तो उनको प्रॉब्लम्स होंगे। तो एक बात तो आपको याद रखनी चाहिए कि जो नेचुरल लॉ है ऊपर वाले का, वो इतना इंटरेस्टिंग है कि हम उसके बारे में सोचते हैं तो हैरान हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि जब हमने बर्थ रेट को रोका तो भगवान ने, ऊपर वाले ने डेथ रेट को रोक दिया। तो पॉपुलेशन का जो बैलेंस है वो एज इट इज़ जो है होता आ रहा है। अब रहा सवाल फ्री बीज का, किसी भी वेलफेयर स्टेट में फ्री बीज नाम की कोई चीज़ नहीं होती। अगर सरकार उनकी मदद करती है, गरीब लोगों की, उनको ऊंचा उठाना चाहती है, तो इस पर कोई बुराई नहीं है। तो रिसोर्सेस को बढ़ाना पड़ेगा और जब रिसोर्सेस बढ़ेंगे तो ये कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा। हाँ, ये ज़रूर है कि छोटा जो कुंबा होता है वो खुशहाल कुंबा होता है। कांग्रेस पार्टी की हमेशा से ये पॉलिसी रही है कि कुंबा छोटा हो, खुशहाल हो, माँ बाप उनकी तवज्जो कर सकें।
सर, कर्नाटका में तो
जाएगा, बच्चे ज्यादा
सर, कर्नाटका में तो ये सोच नहीं है कांग्रेस पार्टी की, क्योंकि कर्नाटका के एक मंत्री ने आज आके कहा है कि जो चंद्रबाबू नायडू और स्टालिन कह रहे हैं हम उससे अग्री करते हैं, हम उससे सहमत हैं। डिलिमिटेशन के बाद अगर पॉपुलेशन के बेसिस पे हमारा रिप्रेजेंटेशन डिसाइड होगा तो हमको इंश्योर करना चाहिए कि हम लूज आउट ना करें। कर्नाटका भी तो आपका ही स्टेट है।
देखिए एक बात, नहीं, पूरा हिंदुस्तान मेरा स्टेट है, पूरा हिंदुस्तान मेरा देश है। देखिए एक बात पक्की है कि अगर ये चीज़ हो जाती है जिससे फ़ायदा होने का हमको यकीन हो जाए, तो वी आर ओपन टू हैव ए नेशनल डिबेट। क्योंकि चंद्रबाबू नायडू की सोच अलग है, एनडीए की सोच अलग है, आरएसएस की सोच अलग है, बीजेपी की सोच अलग है।
कांग्रेस की क्या सोच है, मैं आपसे ये पूछ रही हूं।
है तो हम पीछे नहीं रहेंगे।
कांग्रेस की क्या सोच?
हमारी इस वक्त जो सोच है वो बिल्कुल क्लियर। हाँ, मैं हमारी कह रहा हूँ ना, कांग्रेस की सोच ये है कि छोटा परिवार हो, पढ़ा लिखा परिवार हो, रोजगार से उसको जो है जोड़ा जाए। क्योंकि आज हिंदुस्तान में आबादी बढ़ने के बावजूद, यंगस्टर जनरेशन के होने के बावजूद 50 साल में इतनी बड़ी भयानक बेरोजगारी नहीं रही। आज हम बेरोजगारी का सामना कर रहे हैं। तो एक तरफ तो हम आबादी के बढ़ने की वजह से, नौजवानों के बढ़ने की वजह से नौकरियों के लिए प्रॉब्लम हमको दिख रहा है, तो फिर हम आबादी बढ़ाएंगे। तो इसलिए नेशनल कंसेंसस होना चाहिए, डिस्कशन होनी चाहिए। अगर बातचीत होती है नेशनल लेवल पे, पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कशन होता है, तो कोई ना कोई आउटकम जरूर आएगा।
It's interesting you say that, Sujat Ali, because your ally, which is in Tamil Nadu, Mr. M.K. Stalin, believes otherwise. Your own leaders in Karnataka believe otherwise. But T.R. Srinivas, you had your hand up. Quick rebuttal before I get in Ms. Mutreja as well.
See, the entire world is right now seeing to India because of certain basic factors of demographic advantage and the skills which are available in India and which are now getting scarce and scarce even in EU, America, and even in Far East. So if we have to maintain this, apart from the distribution of resources and population and welfare state schemes, we have to understand that the young population has to be there in a bigger ratio than the population which depends on the state's welfare schemes.
Now, Mona Mutreja, as far as the repercussions of any advice like this or any incentivizing of having larger families is that India is already seeing a population boom. Resources are already feeling the heat. The kind of arguments that are made that fertility rate of certain states is much lower, or that politically speaking, if there is delimitation, that because the population is low, the southern states would lose out. Do you think these arguments cut ice when you look at the bigger picture?
So, delimitation is behind the statements being made by both the chief ministers. Mr. Naidu has expressed concern about an aging population, but basically the issue is delimitation, and that is going to create problems, political and other problems, constituency and so on, for the southern states which have much lower population rates compared to the rest of the country. But this is not something that you put on the women and say to the women, have more children without making resources available. Women, today the aspirations of women politicians must understand. The CBS survey and many other surveys show you just have to look at also how young people aspire. Young girls are aspiring to be educated, have fewer children, educate their children, be working mothers. Young men also want their partners, spouses to be working. They are not understanding the aspirations. So given the aspirations, just telling people have more than 2 children is not going to work. It's not worked anywhere in the world except 2 3 countries like Sweden, France and Norway, where they give support to women. They don't just incentivize by giving jobs or saying or disincentives that you can't be in parliament or panchayats. Panchayat level, the poor women go after them, put all the burden on women, whether it's family planning or anything. So now you want women to have more children. You think it's a switch you can just put on and off? Have greater respect for the autonomy and reproductive rights and justice, reproductive justice for women. I am sure if our political leaders understand and think and not do knee jerk responses, they can find a national solution, as one of your speakers just said. Let's have a national debate based on data, based on evidence, and seeing other countries that I mentioned. They give childcare to women, they support women with leave, long leave for childbearing. There is a participation by men in household and childcare, unlike India, where men just don't participate and support in caregiving of either the children or household work. So we have to change as a society, and we have to have population stabilization because the communities and people need it. Listen to the voice of your people. Second big disadvantage is going to be that we are not going to prioritize. We need to prioritize. For instance, aging is a real issue. Let's plan for the aged society. Let's reskill them that they continue to be productive citizens. Second, let's plan for their health, as Kerala has begun to do. When we get our diagnosis wrong, our priorities wrong, the treatment is going to be wrong. We have to worry about the country. And second, on skilling and, one of the BJP spokesperson said something about, the world is looking at India. But India has 360 million young people, of whom the majority are unskilled. So in terms of prioritizing, we should be prioritizing skilling our young people, not just for India, but also for the rest of the world, to not do brain drain, but we should have contracts with other countries where they invest in our young people skilling and education, so that we can plan to cooperate with the rest of the world.
Sure.
But if we don't cooperate between the North and South, where are we going to cooperate with the rest of the world? So there is a vision that's needed, and I welcome a debate and discussion on what works and what doesn't work. And last point that I want to make is Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka have done so well, especially those states which have high education levels for women, women's empowerment, which is what has led to a decline in population.
But that's not something that should be punished, is also what one of the Congress members
They should
today
be
said.
proud of, yes.
That the fact that the fertility rate has been low, that they've managed to keep a
I was
lid
coming
on
to that.
the population boom there, that is not something that should be punished when the delimitation
Exactly.
exercise does take place. So then, T.R. Srinivas,
That's
let me
the
ask you
debate
this.
to have. That's the
So
discussion
then,
to
T.R.
have
Srinivas, let me
amongst
ask you this,
politicians.
that a national population policy is something that we have in place, but a law is something that there have been calls for, even in the recent past, but have been made by multiple members. There have been private members' bills that have been brought in the parliament as well. Is that something that the BJP agrees on? And if yes, will the BJP then build consensus at a national level for it?
See, the debate has just begun. Right now, to link it with either with delimitation or anything else is little premature. Let the,
But the debate
debate have
has been
some traction.
reignited because of an impending delimitation exercise.
Okay, let me come. Okay, that's a bogey raised by the opposition, which you have to take it in your stride in the politics. Now, I would like to say here, let it gain some traction here. I'm sure it will be resonating with some debates into the parliament. This is what I can assure you.
But the BJP is on board as far as a national outlook is concerned?
See, any demographic advantage which has to be maintained for a long term, beyond 2047, what we call Viksit Bharat, dream of Honorable Prime Minister. And it has to, if India has to have that advantage even beyond 2047, that means your working population has to be there, skilled, as the one of the ladies who executive director has rightly said. They have to be skilled, they have to reprogram, they have to be upgraded in their skills, and they have to be redeployed elsewhere where the national interests are. And even, let me tell you, across the world also people need Indian workforce.
Sure.
The biggest example is Israel, and already our people are serving in Gulf countries. And I'm 100% sure the way of the level of skills which we Indians possess, they are going to be in demand with other countries also.
Sure. Sujat Ali, as far as delimitation is concerned, which is one of the reasons why MK Stalin has said that we should look at trying to balance out the imbalance as far as north versus south population is concerned. आप इस बात से सहमत हैं कि delimitation होगी 2 साल बाद, क्योंकि बीजेपी कहती है ये तो ऑपोजिशन का जुमला है?
देखिए, पॉपुलेशन को बेस बनाए बगैर सारे जो देश के सारे जो हिस्से हैं उनको इक्वल रिप्रेजेंटेशन देना चाहिए. जिन रियासतों ने अपने इलाकों में पॉपुलेशन को कम किया है उनको सज़ा नहीं दी जानी चाहिए, क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ी नाइंसाफ़ी होगी और मुल्क में इससे अनरेस्ट पैदा होगा. तो इसको नेशनल लेवल पर ही डिस्कस करके कुछ किया जा सकता है, वरना इस तरह के जो आते हैं प्रपोजल्स ये देश में कन्फ्यूजन पैदा करते हैं. तो कन्फ्यूजन को ख़त्म करने के लिए नेशनल डिबेट बहुत ज़रूरी है.
So a national debate is required. The process has begun perhaps with this debate being reignited. Does it go forward from here? We'll keep an eye out, but I'm completely out of time. I thank you all for joining us here on this edition of Plain Speak and sharing your perspective. It's a wrap from my side. Thank you so much for tuning in.